Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me here at Toronto Police Headquarters. I would also like to thank the media for joining us. This was hastily called. We are here to hear from Detective Rob North from our Homicide Squad on Homicide number 58.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending. I'm here to provide an update today in relation to Homicide number 58 for 2016, which is the murder of 26-year-old Julian Jones of Baltimore, Maryland. As most of you are aware, this murder occurred on College and Manning Avenue in 14 Division on November the 5th of 2016. As a result of poring over hours of closed-circuit video from both businesses and residential premises and re-interviewing witnesses we've already spoken to, the Toronto Police Homicide Squad swore to a warrant for the arrest of 28-year-old Andrew Christopher O'Brien of the City of Toronto yesterday afternoon. Mr. O'Brien is currently wanted on a charge of second-degree murder. Mr. O'Brien is known to frequent the Scarborough areas and has ties to other jurisdictions within the GTA. I would like to thank the community, members of 14 Division, for their cooperation and participation in this investigation to date, and request that if anyone has any further information and we have not spoken to you, and you believe you may assist us in this investigation, to please contact the Homicide Squad at 416-808-7400. I would also like to make a direct plea to Mr. O'Brien. If you are watching this, I urge you to contact a lawyer and/or turn yourself into the nearest police station, wherever that may be. Rest assured, we will leave no stone unturned in locating you, arresting you, and putting you before the courts. Lastly, I would like to directly appeal to any of those who may be in contact with Mr. O'Brien. If you know his whereabouts and are assisting him in evading capture, I recommend that you stop doing so immediately, or you too may face jeopardy in a court of law. Ladies and gentlemen, please respect the fact that a matter is currently before the courts. We have 2 males in custody already, and we are now seeking a 3rd male, so there's very limited information that I can give out. However, I'm happy to answer some questions right now.
Will a photo be released of this suspect?
We are currently not in a position to release that photo. We have other investigative avenues we need to explore. And in fairness to both Mr. O'Marogby and Mr. Folks, who are currently in custody, and in fairness to the witnesses at the upcoming preliminary inquiry and trial that we have, we wouldn't want to compromise our investigation at this point.
The last suspect, or are you looking for others as well?
At this point, Mr. O'Brien is the last suspect.
Did you identify O'Brien, and is he known to police?
Mr. O'Brien is known to the police. We identified him again through going over hours and hours of video surveillance, again from businesses and private residences in the area of the Blind Tiger restaurant, and in speaking and re-interviewing witnesses that we have already spoken to.
But was it officers who were able to identify him as the other 2 suspects? Like, how did you know, how were you able to put a face to a name?
Through witness evidence and witness statements, and through officers digging through investigative materials that we have.
So what do you think the motive is in this attack? We know that you're saying it was completely unprovoked on Julian Jones's behalf, but why would a group of men attack someone for no reason?
Well, that's a very good question, and that's one of the questions we would like to ask Mr. O'Brien when he turns himself in or is found by us, is what would make you want to participate in something like this? Again, Mr. O'Marogby and Mr. Folks are currently before the courts, so I'm not going to get into sort of what their motive may or may not have been.
Jones just walking? Was he swarmed? Was he...
I think I previously mentioned that Mr. Jones was exiting the bar, and he was separated from his friends at that location and assaulted by many males.
Was there a previous interaction before the deadly beating?
I'm not going to go into what interactions our deceased and his group of friends had. However, I can tell you from our perspective in doing the investigation and from witness interviews, it was unprovoked, and there was an unprovoked attack on Mr. Jones and his friends.
Are they all friends?
I'm sorry, it's who all friends? I can say that we have an association to them, but I'm not going to go into what that association is.
What was this gentleman's role?
This gentleman's role is he is a participant in the murder of Julian Jones.
Was he kicking? Was he punching? Was he attacking Jones when he was on the ground? What role did he play?
Again, in respect of, the due process that's coming up for Mr. Folks and Mr. Omorogbe and for Mr. O'Brien, I'm not going to get into what his specific role was.
Have you decided
What are
whether,
we dealing with? We know these known to police, which is a sense of, what are we dealing with?
I can tell you that we've had a few interactions with him, but really that's all I'm going to go into in terms of that.
Were
have you
they
decided whether you're going to go to Maryland to have investigators go there to interview Jones's friends?
I can tell you that we are planning to go to Baltimore, Maryland next week.
And how is that process going to work? What are you going to be doing, sitting down with each of the friends? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, myself and another investigator from our team are going to fly to Baltimore. We're going to meet with Mr. Jones's family, and we're again going to be speaking with witnesses who we have interviewed and will re-interview based on the new information that we have.
You're going to show them the videos and things like that?
I'm not going to get into what we're going to do with them. Suffice it to say, we are going to meet with them.
Do you have clear images showing exactly what happened?
I'm not going to get into what evidence we do or don't have. That's for a court of law to decide whether it's clear. What I'm going to tell you is that based on the information and the evidence we have, we are comfortable, in fact, very comfortable, that we've identified the 3 people responsible for the murder of Julian Jones.
You say O'Brien's known to police in what way? Was he up on charges? Was it weapons, assault? How is he known to police?
I can say he's known to us on a few different avenues, but I will not get into his history with us because that may form part of our investigation.
He's a Toronto resident, you say he lives in Scarborough?
Yeah, he's got associations and he originally was from Scarborough. As well, he has ties to other jurisdictions close to the GTA.
Is there any reason to believe that this group of men, like the 3 suspects, have attacked someone else?
I have no reason, I have no information that they have attacked somebody. That has not entered our investigation at this point.
Are you working with other police forces, just in case he's trying to flee somewhere right now? To try to find him?
We've contacted a number of our law enforcement partners, both locally and provincially, and made them aware of the arrest warrant for Mr. O'Brien, which is it's a matter of course. We do that with all of our investigations, and they do that with theirs as well.
Have you spoken to Jones's family recently, his parents? Do they know that you have a 3rd suspect with a warrant out?
I will say that our team is in communication with Mr. Jones's family on a regular basis, and they are aware that this is happening, and I'm planning on meeting with Mr. Jones's family early next week.
So he's pretty much in hiding right now as far as you're concerned?
Mr. O'Brien, we've been unable to locate him so far. Whether he's in hiding or not, I don't know. My plea is essentially for him, if he is in hiding or if he is merely out and about, contact a lawyer or just turn yourself in.
Does he know you're looking for him?
He does now.
Do you have video of the attack itself?
I'm not going to go into what evidence we have in terms of whether or not the attack's captured on CCTV. I will tell you that, again, we are very comfortable with the case we're putting before the court.
Just so we have it correct, could you spell his name and tell us his age?
Yes, sure. His name, Andrew, A-N-D-R-E-W, Christopher, C-H-R-I-S-T-O-P-H-E-R, O'Brien, O''B-R-I-E-N, and he is a 28-year-old resident from the city of Toronto.
Can you say his ties to Scarborough?
Yes, he has ties to Scarborough and other jurisdictions in the GTA. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, lastly, thank you for reminding me, Officer. I'm going to request that you don't use the picture. If you find the picture of Mr. O'Brien, that you just do not use it to allow us to maintain some integrity in our investigation. As I mentioned, we have other witnesses that we need to speak with and locate, and in doing so may compromise the evidence that they may have in court at a later date.
How many witnesses do you have from that night? Like, who actually witnessed the attack? How many people?
I'm not going to go into specific numbers, but what I would tell you is that the interaction was observed by a large number of people. As you can imagine, the bar was emptying out in the early hours of the morning on a Saturday morning, and there were a large number of people within that area.
Did people come forward easily, or has it been difficult?
No, people absolutely come forward, and they've come forward because this is not the way we act in the city. This is not the way we treat. This is not the way we treat people who visit our city, and so they are outraged and upset that this has tarnished the reputation that we have.
Was this an argument? I mean, what was this interaction?
Between, Mr. Jones and the other group? There's essentially no interaction up until the assault and murder.
So did they jump him? I'm just trying to, they just swarmed him and started beating him for no reason?
What I can tell you is that they pulled him away and they separated from his group, and once he got separated, he was assaulted and killed.
How many of Jones's friends are you interviewing next week in Maryland?
I'm not going to get into that. Thank you.
Did any of his friends get involved in this altercation? Did they try to jump in? And
Again, that's something that's going to play out in a court of law, and it's going to be evidence, and unfortunately, I'm not in a position to release that information to you.
Sorry, if we find his photo, you don't want us to use it because it could compromise the, I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, so essentially, we have a number of people we need to get in contact with, who we have not got in contact with, who we're reaching out to, and who have been interviewed but need to be re-interviewed based on the new information that we have. And as a result of that, if the photo is released and they view that photo, it could compromise some investigative avenues for us at a later date.
sort of like a photo lineup too, something like that?
That might be one of the avenues that we could use.
When you talk about he was pulled away, can you explain that a bit more? He's come out of the bar with his friends, and why is he pulled away? And do his friends not see him get pulled away?
Well, certainly. As you can imagine, like I mentioned, there were a large amount of people spilling out, not only from that bar, but from other bars in the area. And when I use the word pull away, what I mean is he was pulled away as in separated from his group. And when he's separated from his group, that's when we're alleging the assault occurred and when he was murdered.
Did the
Pulled away by
suspects,
the people?
I'm not going to get into that. Again, that's going to form part of our evidence in court.
so did he just like get separated, like lost, wandered away from his group accidentally, or he was like pulled physically away?
Again, I'm not going to get into that. I'm only going to say that he was separated from his friends, and as a result of that, he suffered an assault and was found, obviously, suffering from life-threatening injuries.
But you left the impression by saying he was pulled away, that
You're-
somebody pulled him away.
You're right, and I thought I just tried to clarify that with you, in that he was separated. When I mean pulled away, he was away from his friends. Okay, I don't want to sort of give you that impression. He was away from his friends. He was separated from his friends, and then he was assaulted. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us here. The detective will be available for individual commentary after this press conference. Thank you again.